is Kojo Marfo. So please, can we give them a round of applause? So today we are going to be talking about growth hacking strategies for small businesses. And so before we get stuck into it, Kojo, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are sat up here with me.
I literally don't have the answer to that question. It's a very tricky one because you just don't know where to start. And just tell me a little bit about yourself. And I would say at the moment I'm a cultural strategist and I'm founder of my Runway group, which is a cultural organization that focuses more on emerging creative support and also amplifying black businesses that need commercial visibility, especially in high street areas. But I've been doing this for the last 10 years. For me, it started when I connected I had to find a way to kind of stay in university. I went to Coventry University to study aerospace engineering because I wanted to be a pilot.
Aerospace engineering?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no one's ever come for me.
Wait, did you actually do the aerospace?
Yeah. So I completed it. I did my PPO, PPO's private pilot license.
Yeah.
But then whilst I was in the classrooms, I just realized everyone was just much older. And then I'll have conversations and they'll be like, oh, I'm retiring as a pilot. Oh, I used to be this guy in finance and I always wanted to be a pilot. So at that time I had started doing creative initiatives like fashion shows, comedy shows. But the reason why I was doing these things was because I was basically an immigrant and I needed money to stay in uni. So to me it was more survival. I just need to find money to stay in uni. And then everyone that was coming to be a part of the team they needed that for more. So they wanted to be a part of something for like their creative portfolios. They want to be a part of it, literally just for job references and whatever. And for me at that moment, it was just like, oh, I just need money to pay my fees because I didn't qualify for company loans and all of that cool stuff that some of you benefit. But then I realized that this is more than just trying to do something for financial reasons because a lot of destinies were connected to it. Kind of just amplified it to be a regional thing and then later on to like a nationwide thing and then we're here with the same.
That's amazing. So I've met Kojo previously when you had an event at Hospital Club, which is now...
Oh yeah.
Did you forget? Wow.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, we go way back.
No, you just remember. You just remember. We don't go way back. You only just remember.
Now we go way back.
I think my mic's gone off. Can you guys still hear me okay? Yeah. I want to change, give me a minute because I think this is being recorded. So. Thank you. This is what happens guys when you're live. So I'll be very intimate now. I went to the bathroom and forgot that the mic was on the back of my trousers.
Sorry. Trying to rush through this.
Luckily it didn't drop in the way, it dropped on the floor. And I literally went, shit! And I looked and I went, it's okay. So yeah, no, we met, Romano
Yes.
introduced us when you did a session as part of under my Runway group.
Yes.
You did an intimate conversation with Reggie Yates
Yes.
and also Oswald Boten.
Yes.
Yes, and what I loved about that is the room was filled with, like you said, creatives, a lot of young creatives that, in my mind, it was like if you didn't put that option, that session together, when would any young creative, young black creative, be able to be in the same room as Reggie Yates or Oswald Boten to be able to hear about their journey and to be able to network with people like them? So kudos to you for that because you've been creating spaces and opportunities for young people.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Even though you did forget me.
No.
It's fine.
It's not coming back to me.
It's fine. I think back then the wigs weren't really wigging, so I think it's fine.
You upped your wig game now.
Actually, this one is my own hair. So tell us, what is growth hacking? Like, what's it about?
Personally, I would say it's first of all understanding the space you're in, and then also identifying where you're trying to go, and all the dots in between that. So I think for a lot of us, well, when I say a lot of us, it could be anyone in the creative space, a lot of us in the business space or small business space, we can live in denial because we're very passion driven. So it's almost as if you think you've arrived because you just ticked off a few boxes, or you also kind of sell yourself short because you feel like you have this imposter syndrome and all of that kind of stuff. But I feel like we definitely need a blueprint in terms of what our timeline looks like. I was on a panel with British Library last week, and then there's a guy called Roger Wade. He's the founder of Boxpark, and then he was saying like a few profound stuff about what your exit plan looks like, or what the destination looks like. And he cashed out because I feel like he sold a big part of Boxpark to like the law school. But then he's always wanted to do that. But then for some of us, we don't know what we want to do or where we're trying to go. So I think always identifying, okay, at this moment, I'm on stage 2 of my path. Or it's also okay if you don't really know. What I've kind of realized is having conversations with third parties. It could be people that have a lot of ideas about the space you're in, or it could be people that have no idea, so they just tell you as the brutal or honest that you need to kind of, hear, especially when you have a lot of yes men around you, or when you have family support. It's all like, yeah, you can do it. Sometimes you don't have to do it at that particular point, and it's also okay. Sometimes you need that cheerleader telling you that, okay, you know what, take that ball step. But I feel like when it comes to growing, you just first of all need to understand where it is that you're at now, where you're trying to do, or where you're trying to go, and then the factors that are needed to kind of make you get to where you're trying to go.
And we'll talk a little bit more about your journey with My Runway Group. But in previous sessions, we've been talking about business plans and whether people had business plans, whether they didn't. Did you have a business plan when you first started?
I've never had a business plan.
Seems to be a reoccurring theme, and I'm not saying don't have a business plan, guys, but I'm just saying it's been a reoccurring theme on these sessions.
Well, I don't know other people's reasons for not having one. Again, with me, it was very progressional. I didn't really have mentorship support at the very beginning, so everything was just me winging it. Like I told you, I came from an aerospace background. I had no business doing anything in creative space or running businesses in general. So it was my mentality of, okay, I need to put together a concert, I need to book Skepta or Lethal Bizzle, I need about £5,000 to pay their booking agent, I need to get a venue, I need to fill it up with about 1,200 students from the Midlands, and then when I do my maths, actually I lied. So because I did engineering, I had a lot of I knew a lot about processes, as in what it takes to get to, for things to work. So I think I applied a little bit of that. I didn't have structure in terms of written structure, but in my mind I knew that for a piston to move.
So it wasn't written down.
It wasn't written
down,
down, but yeah, I wouldn't do certain things because I knew a little bit more about processes. So with me, I think that kind of helped. But so what was the question again?
No, I said did you have a business plan?
Nah, so I never had a business plan until later when I started looking into grants, when I started looking into advisory support boards and stuff, is when I felt like, let me put something together, especially from the advice I got given from other people as well. But yeah, in short, no, I didn't help.
Okay, so I feel like when you are entering into the world of business or entrepreneurship, there's a lot of challenging moments. We're going to talk about something quite sensitive around it. So I've got here that there was a attempted suicide attempt, and so that's what they said on here, and overcoming hard times. And I feel for me,
talking about me?
Yes, you.
Oh.
Yes. And I resonated.
I thought it happened today to someone. I was like,
no. And it resonated with me because my mom.
I have to make jokes of some types of things
yes,
that happen in my life.
and you should, because so I was about to say it resonated with me because I talk very openly about when my mum passed. I was 17 when my mum passed away, and I'm 38 now. I'm still here, thriving, growing. But I also similarly tried to take my own life when I was 18, and I look back on those moments and where I am now, and I'm like, wow. I'm so glad that that didn't happen, because I'm loving life now. I've got a daughter, life is amazing. I can sit up here and I can talk to people. But also I'm aware that when you're going through certain things, it is very, very challenging. So for you, how did you manage to overcome that period in your life and then go on to grow and accelerate a successful business?
First of all, apologies if anyone's going through something similar. I don't want to trigger any emotion, but I thought the more we speak about stuff like that, because you don't know who's going through what. And I personally believe
It
that.
needs to be normalised.
Oh yes,
I think,
100%.
especially within the black community, we don't talk about mental health enough, and that's why I will be very open about my journey, because it does need to. We shouldn't shy away from talking about difficult topics.
You're spot on, and also I believe personally that people go through things so other people don't have to go through it. So I'm happy to speak about it. I've had two situations in my life that have constantly taken my life. Again, like I said, I joined my family when I was 18. I was born and raised in Ghana. I didn't want to come and live in England because I was going to a great boarding school. My junior high school was British founded. There was Montessori driven. I'll go to school with like a chauffeur. Life was great. I didn't think England was going to be that great until I joined my family and I had like a cultural shock. I had to share a room with my brother. Never happened. I was very spoiled. So if I needed money, I'll just call my parents or go to this Western Union and you can cash it. I didn't know what they were doing to fund my lifestyle in Ghana. So when I come over and I seen that my dad had to do cleaning jobs, my mom had crazy hours doing care, I had this guilt of not trying to ask them for support anymore. So at that moment when they sat me down to say, you know what, after 2 weeks you're basically an immigrant, are we going to sort that out? But that took like another 10 years, right? So I had to find my way into college myself. I had to find my way into university myself, all without having any paperwork at all, right? So when I just went into uni, I had about £300 saving from like cleaning jobs, and it didn't last me too long because 300 really stretched fast, like within 2 months of work. Then anyway, but I had a little box room, and I just felt that I had got to the point in life where I couldn't see any help coming from anyone, and I was a little bit stubborn from asking parents to have a bigger plan in life for the job of life. To me, I played dumb at the moment because I'm like, there's no way you know anything. And then he said it in like playing that I know you're gonna take your life. I've never seen this guy, I've never met him, he's not a Czech pastor, it's like a youth elder or something like that. And I broke down, I started crying, and I confessed to my sister, told her why I came to Leicester. So on the bus or coach back to Coventry is when I just felt another wave of guilt where I just started speaking to God more in terms of like, okay, you did say you're going to help me out, like, what's the options for me? And then that's when I started getting ideas of doing raves or doing comedy shows or trying my hands on stuff that are not illegal or fraud related, you know, because that was like the thing back in the day, and then using that to kind of fun. But when I went back, everything I literally stuck to or tried to do was very successful, was as if I had done it for a long time. And then that's when I realized there was this, you know, divine direction in my life that I need to make mistakes.
So you overcame that moment with what many would say is a divine intervention, and you were able to get these ideas, start growing and accelerating my Runway, developing and building my Runway group. Outside of those, the initial challenge that led you to building my Runway group or developing it, what other challenges have you overcome, and how did you overcome those? What tips and strategies can you give to fellow business owners that they can adopt to overcome challenges?
Good question. Top of the list, finance. Let's just be honest, man. Everyone needs money, right? But again, because I come from doing raves, and sometimes I see like, let's say £5,000 in a night. But then I have to pay my fees, I have to pay my rent, I have to pay the lawyers, and then all my money was going into something else. So it was going into buying equipment because I started a photography company, or paying people, or starting a small business, whatever it is. Finance was a big thing, and I would take money from people to do things because I couldn't work, so I really didn't have like access to like my own money like that. So, but then now I can advise people, you don't have to always go down that route. I feel like our white brothers or non-black brothers and sisters do way better in having access or to finance at a very early stage. I feel like we need to have a lot more direct conversations with people that have access to finance. I feel like we need to educate ourselves a lot more in terms of what options are available to us, because we downplay the relevance of money and we always go on this passion-driven journey so quickly that you're likely to burn out, you're likely to fall out with friends. Like, my missus at that time left me. I don't blame her. Yeah, because she gave me money for stuff and it was just wrong paying her back. It was just, and also it messes up friendship, because I remember I used to do this fashion show called my Runway show, and we do venues like, how'd you know it? No way!
He probably doesn't remember that either, so it's
Yeah, I
fine.
remember your face.
Oh, I see the favoritism that's going on there. It's okay, continue.
It's funny to me. There's another lady got called that. Yeah, she did the first fashion show in Coventry, so.
Guys, I'm telling you, the wig wasn't wigging back then. That's what it is, I look different, I get it, it's fine.
Big wicked. That's how I'm not thinking about ladies' hair.
Dig that, dig, keep on
I'm
digging.
so sorry, guys. Super sorry. But then the reason why I feel like finance is a very important part of our journeys. So what used to happen to me is I'll take money from a friend that had money, and then what they used to do is that let's say I ask someone for £5,000, they will tell me they need 7,500 back in 2 weeks. In their mind, because I'm filling up all these seats, I've got money. And you're desperate, so you take it, but it's probably not the best option for you if you looked at other things from Art Council. So is it Art Council? The Art Council, they support a lot of creative initiatives, or even with different companies and different organizations and stuff that later on I just realized that I didn't have to put any of my money into any of these things. But because I'm go, we need to book a venue, we need to do this. And it was more passion over sense. I'll say that at that time. It was more like we need to get it done. So regardless, I just have to get it done. And then I put myself in so much debt just to quote unquote make other people's dreams come true. And then what was hurting me was I was falling out with close people. I was taking from Peter to pay Paul. And looking back, it's all part of the company's CV, but it's not worth it, It's important to kind of get free money when you can, or get less, money that has too much ties to it. I think we just need to invest in ourselves in terms of educating ourselves in options when it comes to finance. Because not somebody will probably want to own a little percentage of your idea. It's okay, to give it out if you have a lot of information about these type of things or routes of getting finance. I would also say team is very important. Who you decide to give a title to is super important. I've seen people that I've given titles to and appointed for roles in even all the way back to university to now, and it changes human beings. They forget where the title came from, and it can mess up your whole journey and your whole vision. And then also when you're hiring, try your best to hire performance first, right? I used to be this guy that I'm rooting for my black community and all of that. I'll be very honest here. There's a lot of people in our community that are great, have a good work ethic, and there are others that are just super entitled for no reason and feel like they need to be put in certain positions. It's going to take you longer to get to where you're supposed to if you have such people on your team. So when you start thinking more performance, more what would you do if you were that person, and start looking for things that you probably can't do yourself, and then getting help on other people supporting you with that. When it comes to team, there's also the value exchange factor. You can't be doing everything by yourself. I have this thing where I used to tell everybody, if you don't do it, I'll get it done, and that used to be my thing. But really and truly, I don't have to do every moving part or component of the idea or business, because another emerging creative or university student might need that 3 months of experience to help you with marketing, or somebody literally just, like I had a friend, her name was Frida, and she had been with Goldman Sachs for like 7 years, and she's like, I'm so tired, like, I just need a way out, like, can I just do this with you guys? And when she's come in, that was when we actually have structure for the first time in my Runway group, because she had like a corporate background, and I could have never given the team that, because all I knew was just creative arts. So, or if you have to pay them for a while and you have the finance to do that. So I'll say finance is top of the list. Team is also top of the list. And then also network. I'm not a big believer in like, let's just go somewhere so we meet new people. It should be one of your options, but it shouldn't be your only option. The reason why I say that is the most organic ways of connecting with people yields the best results when it comes to relationship building. If you are trying to get people to take you serious in terms of your journey, in terms of your story, then make sure that whatever your online CV looks like, it could be your website for the type of business you're doing. It could literally just be a landing page collecting data or subscription mails. It could be your LinkedIn being constantly updated. It could be your Instagram because your brand has to be visually appealing. But you need to identify those things first and then invest into that. If you're not great at that, like I said, a university student from like UCL might want to give you a bit of their time because they also need it for their portfolio. But think about ways where you look well presentable before the connection, and then also just keep reaching out to people in terms of cold emails or DMs. There's no shame in that. I did that for so many years in terms of getting venues booked, reaching out to people to kind of look over like funding applications and just trying to just get conversations going. Because what I realized is that it's important to be on the radar of certain people, just so that your name can either be mentioned or your service can be recommended. But then if you don't do that, in terms of putting yourself out there, in terms of introducing yourself, in terms of doing these cold mails, somebody's never gonna know, and you could be the most suitable person for that particular service or not. But then if you don't connect to the right people, it's not gonna work. So I'll say finance is very important. Team, super important in terms of who you bring on board and why you're bringing them on board. And then also network, who you know and then who knows you is just the quickest way to go.
Yeah, I want to pick up on two things that you said around funding, Arts Council, but also team. So I think sometimes when you're running a business, you're so focused and caught up on trying to get funding or trying to get investment actually, that you don't actually look at or do research around funding options or investment options that are open to you.
Yeah.
So like you said, the Arts Council have funding opportunities. And what's really interesting, we mentioned in one of the earlier sessions, that Black women in particular they got 0.002% of in seed funding, or have access to seed funding, whereas other women have 9%, and then all the rest is men.
Yeah.
So with that, I think there's a lot of, don't get me wrong, there are barriers that prevent people from accessing funding, but then that leads into what you were saying around team, that actually, if you don't know how to write a bid for funding or write a tender or whatever it is, find someone that can be part of your team that can help you do that, because you're not going to know it all. Like, no one knows it all. But what you can do is build your team, even if it's just one other person that you pay like a one-off fee to, if you can. But it's all about investing in the future of the business. So if you know that if you do your research and you find that there's funding options out there, but actually you're not comfortable writing a funding bid or writing an application, find someone that can help you. Alternatively, there's a wealth of information on the internet that can help you write funding bids, that can give you guidance. And when you're in rooms like this, networking can also help you find other people that may be able to support you or help you later on in your business journey. So I think it is really important to research, have a team, good team around you, and also network for all of those reasons.
And a quick point, quick thing on like funded stuff. I still don't like applying because I feel like it's so long. So
Yeah, but you look at it and it's like 10 questions. And you're like,
it's a lot of stuff, right? But the people that know their stuff, they know their stuff. And then one hack is you can always offer them a percentage because again, it's free money. So if somebody's giving you 20,000 and you're able to give somebody 1,500 or 2,000, it's like 10%, 15 to 10%, 20%. So that if it's successful, that's what they get. They put in a lot of work because they know they can get it done in like a day's writing, and then if it goes through, they basically walking away with like 50%. But that's always like a good way to kind of entice bid writers to do stuff.
so you've developed a number of pop-ups and residencies in Carnaby Street, Covent Garden and Sunset House. Tell us about how you were able to develop those pop-ups and grow the locations in which your pop-ups appear.
So with us, my Runway group, we've always considered commercial visibility as one of like the biggest barriers for small businesses that are black-led, especially. We do a lot of focus groups and research stuff, and that kind of keeps coming up on top as well as finance. So we've had a great relationship with Shaftesbury, and Shaftesbury are basically the landlords of a greater part of West End up until like recently, and they had a merger with Capco, I believe. So what we used to do, especially for creative arts, was when there was like an empty space, we would speak to them about doing like an art exhibition or activation in the space because it's basically empty. Shaftesbury's always had a great heart for the community, so it was easier to kind of get them to give us a day or maybe two, right? But then one time they gave me a month to do something in Carnaby, and I just thought, let me split this month into 4 weeks of different initiatives. So 1 week would be like an art exhibition, second week could be like well-being sessions, third week could be something else, maybe like film screenings and whatnot. But in the final week, I definitely wanted to kind of test out, and this was like 5 years ago, the concept of having like different pop-ups or businesses sell in the high street area and see how that goes. And that went so well as like a closure for the 1 month takeover. So unfortunately, because I don't want to say fortunately, George Floyd died. Then it changed everything in terms of conversations. But I had been telling them that I really wanted a space for like black businesses to be like one hub. And then after that, people just seem to have a sort of heart for black initiatives. We just seem to be very well positioned to kind of deliver it well, because also there's a lot of organizations that kind of did that period, and that's another conversation for another day anyways. So what we ended up doing is, how long can we have the space for? And they, again, very typical of a lot of corporate. We can do it as an initiative for Black History Month and see how it goes. So I would always say take a yes, then I would not try to kind of work my way up. So we had a space, 56B, G shop, like, so it was like a really cool space for a month. Like that's what like the lease contract was for, like at least a month. So ended up having like different black businesses, did a call out, good turnout, and yeah, we launched the very first black concept store in West End on Carnaby Street. Then what happened was it ended up being the black store that everybody wanted to check out. We literally have zero marketing budget, by the way. So it was word of mouth, social media, people spreading it around, all these brands telling about people that they are stocked on Carnaby Street. So it was very organic in terms of what that 1 month did. And then different publications ended up reaching out to us. So we, all up to now, have never paid for PR or publication. Everybody's journey is different. I just happen to have the grace of people reaching out. And I pray longs continue because I don't have a PR budget at the moment. So then we're on like BBC, Bloomsburg, Forbes, Harper Bazaar. So there's a lot of like these big names just reaching out because it was like a cool story, I guess. And then they emailed back to ask whether we want to continue or stay even further. Because then it was also making them look good. So what was meant to be like a 1 month initiative, ended up being like a year and a half of being in comedy for that period. And we had like the mayor of London come over to shop from us and stuff. And all of that was like very organic. Like I remember seeing him. You remember when he was like on TV telling people to come out and shop again? And he was doing one of those interviews on Carnegie Street. So I just waited around for him to finish speaking and I just rushed to him. And then the typical bodyguards were trying to act funny, but I'm very Ghanaian for a reason. And then I asked him whether he knew about the black store on Carnegie Street. He's like, there's a black store on Carnegie Street, like where is it? Like, oh, just down the road. And then he literally just followed me and the camera was following us and then he ended up in the store. And it was all about the news and stuff like that. But that was literally just me just being me and God just being God and the mayor just following us into our store. Oh, thank you. So that was like a very good run. We were very naive in terms of running like retail, just being very honest. But I feel like we handled it very well. Again, we had Frida, who had like a great corporate background, helped us with structure. So we felt like we were in the right position to do it again. So we wanted to kind of test different areas. So Covent Garden had like some good figures in terms of diverse footfall, especially like tourism and stuff like that. Sorry, tourists in general. So then we ended up being in Covent Garden for about 7 months. Again, similar concept and making sure like as much as small businesses that are black-led can get visibility, people can also rent out their spaces for free to kind of do their own initiatives or creative activations and stuff like that. So we're serving 2 purposes that my Runway group were really focused on anyway. And then after that, I'll be very honest, after that I was very tired. Team-wise, it takes a lot. I feel like people don't see, it's fine, they're not meant to see like behind the scenes stuff, but you deal with so many spirits. Like, black business owners are spirits in themselves. Like, there's a lot of entitlement, I'll be very honest, there's a lot of great people as well running businesses. There's a lot of people that are not supposed to touch businesses at all. And they will put all their frustrations on you. You know, you explain to people there's a concept store, we have an idea, design your business, your brand will fit here. Someone's like, I need my brand here. It's like, it doesn't work like that. If everybody came in and all these 200 businesses are saying that, I would lose my mind, you know. But having a great team is also important in terms of making sure there's different levels where people deal with different people. But just giving you the reals. It's not all fancy like that. Don't look at our Instagram page and say, oh, they're doing so well. Thank you, but it's a lot of headache. And in this space, yeah, if it's not a calling, or if it's not like something you treat as your ministry, or if it's not something that you see yourself doing long term, don't touch it. Because then you're taking up somebody else's space, or you're preventing somebody to get to their full, capacity because you're just, adding up to the numbers. And I believe that statistics and aesthetics are killing, black businesses and creatives in general, because we stop thinking about why we're doing it. We just want to look good, or just use numbers. We sold out, all of those kind of stuff, right? But Covent Garden was like a real test, because it just felt like the demons came out there full numbers. From working with Capco, CBRE, those people were very comfortable in terms of a lot of things. I feel like Shopee gave us a lot of room to kind of be ourselves. It wasn't like that with another, landlord or property management company. So we felt it in terms of why are we even doing this, and the money wasn't really making a lot of sense. But you still have to pay people, you have to pay the staff, your running costs, all of that. And then you have to pay the businesses that you're selling on behalf of. So I definitely needed a break. But again, also I believe that in this journey, sometimes the one thing is not the main thing, but it's just what leads to the main thing. I don't know if it makes sense, so I'm just chatting. But there's a lady that just walked past the store, and she's like, I kind of like this idea, let me walk in and have a look at it. And she happened to be the deputy director of Somerset House. And then she sent a blank email asking whether we want to have tea to discuss the idea of us being at Somerset House. So when I literally told her that I'm not interested, but we can just discuss it further when I come into the space. And then when I walked in, I just felt like, anyone been Somerset House?
Yes.
On a non-event day, there is nothing there. So we've gone from like having 1 million people walk down the street a day to like, it's high street, but it's, you want to go to Somerset House. It's not like you just end up there, you know. So I was like, this might not be it. And also it was like a 2-month residency, but I just thought, I prayed about it a little bit, and I thought, let me just give this a chance, because I always wanted to do like a trifecta of like small areas, so like maybe Soho, Carnaby, and Covent Garden, but I wasn't really considering like the Strand like that. Then decided to go for it, and I'll be very honest with you, the footfall there is not great, but we've sold way more than Covent Garden and Carnaby combined. And sometimes you can't predict where the blessings are going to come from. And sometimes you're just so burnt out, you're like, I'm not going to give this a go again. And because I've come from trying to do venues and venues for my Runway show, that spirit has left me. So if I'm tired, I'm tired. But it just felt like, let me just give this particular opportunity a go again. And then I realized that what Carnaby did for us was, it was like free for all. Everybody and their mother and their friend and all of that will be walking past, right? They might look and feel my bag. And then Covent Garden was like tough. We were losing store phones, money, people were stealing from us, even stuff. It was a lot to deal with. But Somerset was more like a quiet taste, filtered people. The people I've prayed about my whole life. Literally walking in and making your life easier. And they don't ask nature in terms of what we're trying to do. And it comes to the longevity of what you decided to commit to. So it gets to a point where you can chill and not worry too much about security, theft, not paying for rent. You know, all of these things are pretty much covered. And then you still have the excess of sales, which is always what your dream is, to make sure these brands are selling and are happy, and you don't have to lose your head doing that. So, sorry about my long answer. This is pretty much how we got to Somerset House.
I feel like in what you said, I picked out a few things. It's being determined, remembering why you started the business, and to keep going even when it feels like success isn't coming. And I think that's really important when starting a business. If you don't remember the reason why you started that business, when challenges come or when things aren't going your way, you're going to become a little bit demotivated. But if you remember why you started and continue to still try and be passionate about it regardless, you'll be able to have that motivation to keep going.
Sorry.
I've got a habit of running over. It is
so
caught
sorry,
up. However, I do want to be able to give anyone the option to ask any questions. So I think we could probably do 2 questions. So if anyone would like to ask, don't be shy, guys. You may never be in the room again.
No, I'll
be
stay
able to ask
around.
questions.
I promise I'll stay around.
Thank you. Right, I can see.
I didn't realize you just going.
No, I've taken my heels off so I can run around now. Yeah.
Hi, Kojo.
Hi.
There's one question I want to ask you. All right, I've been to your, the Runway show in Carnaby Street and also Somerset House.
Thank you.
How are you able to encourage people that actually do not go to those spaces per se, especially our demographic? How have you found that in those spaces?
Oh, thank you. I've always had to remind myself that I'm not creating these spaces for the Black community to buy. I'm creating the spaces for Black community to sell to mainstream. Because let's be very honest, we're about 5 to 10% of the general population. If my target 3%, I was very generous even. So if my target audience in terms of people that walk through our doors are just Black people, I have failed, because how many of those are going to come to certain spaces or areas, and how many of those are going to want to buy? I love it when a lot of our people walk in to support brands they know, or they're like, oh my God, I didn't even know that there's been a diverse initiative like this in such areas. And I'll give you a quick example. There was a lady that walked into Somerset, and she said where we were in terms of the store used to be her office, and she used to work for the Treasury Bill years ago. and she just felt like, this is like a big deal for her to even support. That's a great initiative for her to be able to be a part of and her own storytelling. But my focus has always been mainstream. So I make sure that there is great representation in the space, but in terms of people that are going to engage with it, people that are going to tell their friends about it, their families, and also, I always aim for mainstream, and that way it's black people, it's white people, it's families, it's tourists, it's what British commerce looks like. So that when people are buying the product, I'll be honest, I hate it when people buy it because it's black owned. I just want you to buy it because the product is great. It makes me feel like I've got good taste in selecting who's supposed to be there, first of all, and also the whole idea is to make sure we put these brands in front of people that never get to see it. So they are always seeing the same kind of brands or stores in high street areas. Let them see other products made by black people that are not just black-owned brands, but they're just great brands that can, fit into every home, every office, every pocket, wherever it is that you're purchasing. So my main thing is always to go for mainstream, but showcasing the best of our community, if that makes sense.
Thank you. I'm going to do one last question, but Kojo is going to be around, so if you do want to ask him a question, then please do feel free.
Thank you. I was just about to head out, but I just wanted to drop this before I left. Pick up yourself, because this was probably the best chat that I saw today. And I think what you said about basically that people that are beginning their journey, they haven't got to do everything themselves, what I took from what you were saying. So if there are any bid writers in the house, please let yourself know, because I want to holler at you. Also, how do people at the beginning of their journey engage with your business? Because you said that you advocate for people from our background,
right,
being seen in the high street, etc. How do we engage with you?
So especially for small business, thank you for the question. Especially for small business, we do a lot of call-outs for initiatives. The high street pop-ups is like one angle, so we do mailing list pop-ups, call-outs for different people to be able to kind of apply. Other ways where we kind of create commercial visibility is having mobile stores. So we take the Black Economy store to Google's office or Meta's office and all of that kind of stuff. That way, different people get to kind of experience as well. So I would say emailing Black Economy through our website, push you on a short list or waiting list, and then that way we can use you for different things. It might not be the store, but then it could be a gifting for an event or gifting for a corporate reason. For creatives, we do a lot of initiatives from global campaigns, producing festivals in West Africa, all of that kind of stuff. So it depends on whether you're looking to get involved as an intern producer, photographer, all of that kind of stuff. And again, it's just through our website or Instagram DM, and then we have a team that kind of works our database and offer opportunities to you. Or you can always email me, I'll respond.
Kojo, we definitely run over.
I'm so sorry.
However, all my sessions are running over. However, before everyone goes, just drop one gem that you want everyone to leave here knowing this is the last session in here today. So what would one piece of advice or one gem would you give to the audience that's going to leave them walking away feeling inspired?
I'll just keep it simple with time, but I feel like everyone should always remember that the paycheck is not always financial. So whatever it is that you put your time to, your heart to, your passion, I know money is a big deal, but always remember if it doesn't come back as money, it's going to come back at some level of value, and it's always something that you're going to use as your currency as you go. And that's always vital and always of more value than sometimes getting money back. So that's just one phrase that I live by, which is my paycheck is not always financial. Obviously sometimes it's financial.
And on that note, thank you so much for your